Well, good morning. We just got the pedals installed here, so that's one step closer. All right, so just doing a quick test fit of the fuel tank here. This is this new Genrite fuel tank I bought, and it's a 20-gallon tank, stock CJ 15-gallon. It's looking like it's gonna work. The only thing is, if you notice my exhaust pipes are hanging, I'm gonna have to rebuild my mounts here and move these exhaust pipes outboard a little bit. It's just an outboard move. It's not a big deal. So hopefully just be able to pop that over and everything will work out just fine. So it shouldn't be too bad of a deal. And it doesn't look like well, I did put a tack on the bottom of those pipes, but I don't have those pipes totally welded yet. So if I need to, I could pop them apart. And I did that on purpose now that I recall, because I didn't have the tank in here. But I think I'm just going to be able to move them outboard. And also that's why I hadn't trimmed the ends of these pipes yet. I just left that on there. That's my jig for trimming those square. So I could push those outboard just a bit. I'm going to have to just build a new hanger that goes right there. That won't be too bad of a deal. I'll just have to grab some steel here and make that happen. All right, we got the windshield framed. It's just set in place. I just got the screws on it started. We got to grab the hardtop and load the hardtop up on here. Then once I do that, I can set the proper angle of the windshield so it properly mates up with the hardtop. You want to do that because if you don't, this seal here, if you're pushing the windshield around, it can be really hard on that seal and the mounting on the firewall. So you want to make sure that this all lines up with that hardtop on there. And so if you guys have been driving a Jeep for a while, hasn't had a hardtop on it, you definitely loosen all this up, get the hardtop set, tighten it all back down. You'll be glad you did, because it just takes all the stress out of everything on your firewall, makes all that stuff last a lot longer. It was so nice having this crane for doing all this. So you can see there how far that windshield is laid back, and then gonna set the dash in here. And the reason for putting this dash in is I'm fixing to start welding up the roll cage. And so I need to have the dash in, and you can see on the one side there that I already had one of the mounts for the roll cage on there. The other one bolts on just over the top of the dash. And I was actually going to reach out to the folks that I bought this cage kit from, but they no longer make it. So you're looking at tech that you can no longer get. And unfortunately, for some of the older stuff, like these older CJs, that's just the way it is. There's stuff out there that you just can't get anymore. It's getting harder to find. So that's kind of wild. So what I'm doing here is just walking through all these tubes, trying to get everything put in place. I had a little bit of a fitment issue on the other side there because that roll bar's got just a little bit of a tweak to it. And so I just hooked that into the lower door mount and then gave it a little pull with that motorcycle strap there. And it's been one of my favorite tools when I've been welding, is that little motorcycle strap. And then this tube kept popping out over here, so I had to get a healthy tack on it there. And putting in a cage like this, it's just a matter of you got to get everything fit, got to get her tacked. You're pushing it around, checking it for square, and then you can get her all set up and welded. I'll throw the seat in here, see how it looks, and get her bolted down. Oh yeah, look at that view, and this is the only footage I had my palm in it, so sorry about that, guys, but this is what we got. But real good visibility with this cage in there. I mean, it hardly impedes your vision at all. I mean, maybe you're losing a half inch on each side and that, so it's really enough where you can just move your head around and you can completely see around it. So this is a really good kit. I wish they still made it. Then again, I'm just checking square. You're always wanting to do this, check things for square, and it'll look a lot better when the thing's done. Now we're on to burning her in. You guys will notice I'm not burning these all the way in and around. I'm just burning a portion of the tube and then stopping. And the reason for that is this is about an 1/8 inch wall tube. I mean, it's plenty heavy for a roll cage. But if I just went and started burning it all the way around, it would totally just start warping on me. And I actually made a mistake later, which you'll see in the next video. I don't know how well I cover it in there. I haven't looked through the tapes on that yet, but before I painted this cage, well, actually, it's me. After I painted this cage, I threw it up in the Jeep, and I realized that, oh, wow, those front tubes had bent over after I'd welded them in, because I welded those outside the Jeep, and that's where I messed up. Is I had a lot of open access to it, and I just grabbed the welder and burned them down, and they towed right in on me. So when I put that back together, I had to really work on those to get them to stretch out there. So, you know, word from the wise is make sure you're moving that heat around, because if you don't move that heat around, you will get a lot of warping. And the other thing with a cage like this is that factory roll bar was not very square at all. I mean, they put those things together pretty fast and loose, so you do have to do a bit of tweaking with a cage like this to get it to fit right. And I suspect that may be why they quit making these. They might have had so many complaints from people, and not really because the cage is bad. I mean, this cage was good quality, but really because the roll bar that you're attaching to that factory bar is just not that great. Oh yeah, look at that beautiful weld bead. Here we are, just burning in the handles again, trying to move it around, keeping the heat from getting all too centered in one point. And I'm actually running probably just a little bit long on this one. And there is a bit of time that lapsed between when I welded the outside and when I welded the inside. I didn't just spin around and weld the inside here. I just wanted to mention that in doing the narration here, because I don't think, you know, I did have to. You could see even you saw the guy walking over earlier. He actually opened the door, walked all the way outside, got a truck. I went and welded something else and then came back with this. So that's about how much time had passed there. One other thing to think about is you'll notice the glare on that windshield. That windshield's toast. It's really sandblasted, so before I use the Jeep a lot, it's going to get replaced. But if you're doing something like this, you need to protect the glass, because that welding slag that hits the glass will put little craters in it and destroy it pretty bad. But this windshield is already kind of toast. You can see there looking through it just how dimpled up it is. All right, got these handles welded in, and what I wanted to show you guys about the way I did this, if you notice that handle's well inside. And it made it a little more difficult to weld because I had to close a gap on the backside. But there's a reason that I did this. And that is, if you're holding your hand here and you roll over and the inside of the windshield crushes in, your hand isn't out in plane with the edge of the tube here. If that happened, you know, you'd crush your hand holding onto that thing. So this is a safe handhold now because it's not outside the tube. So that'll make it a little safer if something happens. I mean, hopefully you don't ever have to utilize that, but it just makes it a little bit better. Buddy boy, how you doing? You liking the Jeep? But you can't wait to go for rides in this thing, huh? We get the Jeep all pulled back apart again so I can start doing the body mount stuff. Got the cage all welded up for the most part. Just have a couple left to do. Got one down here and then one down here, and then just the tops of the tubes there. So don't have a whole lot left. I'm looking forward to that. And I tell you what, guys, I am getting tired. I've been going on this thing for several days straight now, except for Christmas Day. I took Christmas Day off, but then I still took care of stuff back at the motel. So, project's winding on. We only got to, including today, 5 days before this thing has to be out of the shop. So we really got to get to cooking on it. So next step here, is get the tub taken the rest of the way back apart, get her flipped up on her side, take care of a little bit of welding she needs underneath, and then we're going to go over and get her pressure washed. Oh, we got the tub set up on her side, and doesn't look too bad underneath, but the one thing that is real fun is this body mount was screwed. I got the pieces of it I cut out right there. You can see the bolt was broke off in it, and I mean, it was already rusted apart, so the nut was just free floating in there. So gonna go ahead, get a repair figured out for this. What I think I'm gonna do is use a piece of 2" by 1/4 bar stock, just weld it in there, drill it and tap it, just be real precise with my measurements so it'll mount up, and I think we'll be okay with that. We got the patch panel put in there. Behind that, if you look in, you can see the end of a piece of 1/4" bar that I also welded in behind, and that is just welded in from the front here, and then I just ground back to it, and then once I have this welded in, I'll be able to drill into that and pull back down, and then it'll get another piece of sheet metal over the top of this to give it the right spacing. Down the bottom there's a piece of sheet metal on top there. I'm going to have to do that one too, because I'm just going to re-drill these for the CJ width and call it good. And we got that first one all welded up there. Well, that went pretty smooth. All right, we got her welded up. That's the scab plate on there. Now we just got to do the other side and re-drill them for the CJ frame width, and we'll be set. Also, while I was messing around over there cutting, I cut these blocks here. Those will slide up inside of here, and then that hole there catches the rear body mount. This is the YJ body mount here. It's actually in a different position, so... And I had one of two ways I could do that. I could either build a new body mount and then cut the other one off the frame, or just stick that nut in there. I'm just going to stick the nut in there for now. What do? Sit your butt. There you go. Good boy. Well, this is going to be fun. Got her all cleaned up. She's just draining down now, but man, this looks so much better than before. A few spots I'm going to have to manually clean. But, oh yeah, look at how nice that inside cleaned up. That is beautiful. You get your piggy? Hmm? You got slobber pig? Huh? Is that slobber pig?